Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Goddesspreneur podcast. I'm your host, the Goddess of Branding, and on this episode, we'll be talking about rebranding for the best version of yourself in 2025. If you haven't already been crushing your New Year's goals, then this is the episode for you. Have you ever looked around at your life and said this isn't what you envisioned? Who were you when you made the decisions that comprise the life that you live today? This is the podcast for entrepreneurs who are ready to show up and start being the change that they want to see in their businesses and their relationships and their environments. We're rebranding our entire lives this year, you guys. COVID reset us all, but now we have the chance to reset, readjust, and realign on our own accord with where we see ourselves and to pivot into our highest versions of ourselves. To truly rebrand your life, you got to dig deep into your desires and set your intentions. Who do you want to serve? And what feeling do you really want to give out? It's about setting your intentions for what you plan to put into the world. And then we can focus on what we expect back in return. So now that you focused on that, let's see, what is the life that you want? What does the lifestyle that you want in return look like? What does it feel like? What do you wake up in the morning doing as the highest version of yourself? What activities do you do daily that maintain the highest version of yourself? And what is the self care routine like for the highest version of yourself? You have to see these things and feel these things to begin to really visualize your highest self and show up as that person. So I suggest let's create a life board. And by life board, I mean a mood board and vision board that represents the overall picture of where you see yourself, not just niche down into certain parts. Let's actually focus on the bigger picture here, and we can work on the strategies of building those certain parts to be to comprise the life that you want, the life that you see yourself living. So, whew, I know that this is one that gives a lot of us anxiety, but it's 2025. Brands are built on social media. A lot of us are procrastinating creating content for various reasons. I can share a personal experience. I've been procrastinating on creating this podcast for almost 4 years. When I first started creating the podcast, I was beyond excited. I was encouraging others to, embark on their content journeys as well. But what happened is it didn't come out how I envisioned it. And I allowed the fear of how people would perceive what I said that I would do versus what I was actually able to do. And so, through so many times of also being a perfectionist, I had many resources to start, but not the resources that I felt were perfect, not the resources that I felt were exactly what I had envisioned. But it doesn't always start that way. You have to start first. So, with that being said, it's 5 billion people in this room on social media. Show up and show out unapologetically. Everybody has something unique, and that's their individual selves. Show up as your unique, authentic, and individual self and start creating content that reflects who you're becoming and who you're serving. For example, if you were a person who is trying to teach people how to be a streamer, okay, you would create content that would be a day in the life of a streamer, um, resources that you got for resources that you have for other entrepreneurs who are streamers, um, some of the challenges, some of the celebrations, just the authentic experience of that, and not from a perspective where it's solely about you, even though it's centered around you. Consider the people that you're serving, and then start to connect, collaborate, and create effectively. But make sure you do all of that consistently. I call that the 4 C's: connect, collab, create, and do it consistently. Okay. Um, Sorry for that little smack there, but we want to make sure that we set up routines that reflect our highest self, routines that our highest self would be in. What would the person that you are becoming, what would they wake up and do? What activities do they do in the day to maintain the lifestyle that they've accomplished? What routines do they have for their self-care to maintain themselves? You know, you gotta set up these routines that may not seem realistic because they may not apply to your current life right now, but they apply to who you're becoming. And sooner or later, you will be able to effectively stick to those routines. And that's how you'll know measurably that you're becoming that person. You'll be able to see it. Okay, I'm living in the routines. If I'm doing the things that that person does and living the life that that person lives, I'm that person. Understandably. So, as you can see, this isn't just a podcast. This is a guide. And it's a guide to help you really become the best version of yourself in 2025. I'm not sure if next year I'll continue with this podcast because sometimes we just need to be honest with ourselves. We got to create budgets that reflect what we're willing to do. Budgeting always isn't about money. Sometimes it's about your time, sometimes it's about your energy. In this chapter, I not only wanted accountability partners, but I needed to effectively communicate how to rebrand yourself for people who I wasn't ready to serve as my clients, or who wasn't ready to be served as my clients. I have a passion for teaching people how to create brands that create impact and income. So, with that said, I want you to follow us for weekly challenges and giveaways on all of our socials that actually provide resources for entrepreneurs to become the best version of yourselves. We're not just talking about it, we're actually being actionable. Go to our website now, goddesspreneur.com, and you'll see the link to all of our socials where you can subscribe for content, for new content, where we'll be talking about entrepreneur mindset, as well as resources and storytelling with some very inspirational entrepreneurs. I will be having some special guests on, and share this with someone who you want to see win. And I thank you for stopping by and taking this initiative to actually step into the highest version of yourself, because we need the person that you're becoming in this world. You're valuable, and I appreciate you. Like and comment with your take on rebranding in 2025, and I'll see you on the next episode. This is the Goddesspreneur podcast. I am your host, Goddess of Branding, and I hope you have an amazing week, and I'll see you next Sunday.